Hello class 4 and welcome to today's topic lesson where we're going to be looking at geographical features in North America. So today's learning objective is to identify natural features in North America. To be successful in that, we will know that the Grand Canyon is a geographical feature. We will know that Niagara Falls is a geographical feature. We will know the Grand Canyon was formed because of erosion, and we will know that Niagara Falls was formed from melted ice caps. So to start off with the Grand Canyon, hopefully you all remember this picture from our lessons about the water cycle. So you'll be a dab hand at the Grand Canyon. So what is the Grand Canyon? Well, the Grand Canyon is a valley which has the Colorado River running through it. We know it's a valley because it has water running through it, and we know how it was formed, but we'll get onto that in a second. The Grand Canyon is absolutely massive and it's based in the United States. If you can find out what state it is in the United States of America, then you can tell me in the task later on. The Grand Canyon is a really popular destination for tourists, but is also really popular with scientists because of the type of materials that are in the Grand Canyon. These sort of materials we use are that we can find there are like copper and different types of rocks which can be studied, which is why it's really popular with scientists. It's also popular with tourists because we can go climbing there and because of the very unique setting that the Grand Canyon is based in. So how was the Grand Canyon made? So if you remember from our water cycle lesson, and our lessons about rivers, we learnt about erosion, which is the process of water running across the surface of the earth and gradually wearing down and destroying pieces of rock and dirt underneath it. So for millions of years, water along the river Colorado was running over this surface and it was removing pieces of dirt and rock gradually over millions and millions of years, which is how we got to this sort of picture. We can still see the river running through it. At one point, the ground was the same level as up here where my mouse is. But over those millions of years, the river has eroded the ground beneath it and it's created this large valley. So yes, this is called erosion. That's the process of water eroding or destroying the ground beneath it. And that's how the Grand Canyon was formed. So what I want you to do is have a quick pause and I want you to think of ways that you would describe this picture here. This is a picture of the Grand Canyon. How would you describe it? So pause now. Okay, so hopefully you got hopefully you got a nice lot of adjectives and ways that you would describe this. A few that I thought of that was, except for the river, it looks quite dry. It looks red. It almost looks like Mars. So what does that tell you about the area? Maybe that's something you can find out. Our next geographical feature is Niagara Falls. It looks completely different to the dry redness of the Grand Canyon. So Niagara Falls is actually a group of 3 waterfalls, and it's based on the border in between the United States of America and Canada. The river is right along the border, so it borders America and Canada. Niagara Falls, like the Grand Canyon, is a really popular tourist destination. If you have a look at the pictures here, we can see there's a building here for tourists. There's loads of people queuing up and up against the fence trying to get a glimpse at Niagara Falls. We've also got a boat down here, which is taking tourists to go and see it right up close. The boats can actually get really close, so you have to wear raincoats and bring umbrellas because you will get wet at the bottom of the waterfall. So it's a very popular tourist destination. It also has lots of different uses like transport and electricity, but you can find all that later out in the task. So how was Niagara Falls formed? How was it made? Well, Niagara Falls is a relatively young waterfall compared to other waterfalls around the world. It's only 12,000 years old, pretty young. So Niagara Falls was formed when glaciers melted to form lakes, which eventually overflowed and ran downhill to form the waterfalls that we can see today. So what's a glacier? Well, a glacier is a giant piece of ice, and I mean giant, it is huge. These lakes I'm talking about, which overflowed, had millions of gallons of water in it. The fact that it's still flowing today shows how big these glaciers are, how big these pieces of ice are. So the reason we have Niagara Falls today is because we have melted glaciers. Though I would book your tickets to go see Niagara Falls now, because it's rumored that in 10,000 years, the water will run out because the lakes will be empty. So best hurry up. So for today's task, I want you to fill out the worksheet on this teacher made. We have the Grand Canyon versus Niagara Falls. So I want you to fill out, how was the Grand Canyon formed? Where is the Grand Canyon? And I want you to be specific. What state is the Grand Canyon in? And what is it used for? I gave you 2 examples already, so you can use them, but I also want you to find one more. I want you to do some research. What do we use the Grand Canyon for? Next, we have Niagara Falls. I want you to tell me, how was Niagara Falls formed? Where is Niagara Falls? So you don't need to be as specific as this because it's a bit trickier, but I've told you what 2 countries it borders, so maybe you can tell me that. And then what is it used for? I've already told you that it's used for tourists. What else can you think of? What can you research and tell me? How do we use Niagara Falls? And then finally, we have a little bit of a writing piece. I want you to tell me which geographical feature you would like to visit and why. Now, I want you to really try with this answer. I don't want one word. I want you to try and give me an example, try and be descriptive, use as much of the box as you can. Tell me why you would want to go there, why you wouldn't want to go to the other place, what makes you want to go there. Tell me about the place, describe it. What makes you want to go there? Be excited about it. I want to see nice writing here. So hopefully you've enjoyed this quick lesson. When we are back in class, we will go into a bit more detail on all the topics that we've gone over this week. But for now, enjoy this task, and I can't wait to read your answers.